Defense is one of the most criminally underrated aspects of the game of basketball. I mean, it's literally half of the game. Everyone's head is always wrapped up on who can score the most points, who can pass, who can dribble the ball well, but very few people take the time to really talk about the defensive side of the game. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today, because in this video series, I'm going to be showcasing who I believe are the 10 greatest defenders in NBA history, in no specific order. And in today's video, we're going to discuss why Tim Duncan is the greatest defender of all time.
Ball maneuvers, looking for the top, rejected by Duncan. Harden on the drive, blocked by Duncan, and for Tim Duncan, that is number 3,000 of his career. Durant knocked away by Tim Duncan as Durant was locked and loaded. Parker, Leonard for...
When you think of great NBA defenders, Tim Duncan is a name that most people probably have in the back of their heads somewhere, but it's not necessarily their first choice of greatest defenders to lace up. But don't count out Timmy D just because he has a boring highlight reel, or the fact that he doesn't actually have a Defensive Player of the Year. The man can really defend like no one else. Tim Duncan's main claim to fame on defense was his elite rim protection. Duncan was a stellar rim protector for 2 straight decades. I mean, the man averaged 2.2 blocks for his whole career. He averaged close to 3 blocks in his prime. He was just a man that almost everyone in the league feared around the rim. Like the nickname The Big Fundamental suggests, he was a very fundamentally sound player on defense. He understood the basic defensive concepts like footwork, positioning, and timing really well, which helped him to get a lot of defensive stops. And on top of that, Tim wasn't trying to do too much on defense. He wasn't a swat your shot into the upper row type of defender. Tim Duncan was a very disciplined basketball player that played defense for the sake of getting his team stops. Tim Duncan, on top of that, was surprisingly a very versatile defender for his size and build. He could guard multiple positions effectively. His size, his knowledge of the game, and his slept-on agility and quickness during his prime allowed him to be very versatile. Whether he was defending centers, power forwards, or even switching on to guards and wings, Duncan was more than capable of holding his own. I think the aspect that separates Tim Duncan's defense from other legends is just the consistency this guy had. He was an elite defender for close to 2 straight decades. Tim Duncan was selected to the all-defensive team 15 times during his 19-year career. The next highest is Kobe and KG, both with 12. I mean, he was literally selected as a rookie, for Christ's sake. He had a 13-year streak of being selected to an all-defensive team from his rookie year to 2010. He even made the list at the ripe age of 38 in 2015, his second last season. This is even more impressive when you consider the players he was battling against for these spots. If you're not aware, there are 2 all-defensive teams each year, and only 2 big men can qualify for each. So that only leaves 4 spots available for potential big men to win. Tim Duncan got 15 selections despite competing with great defenders like Kevin Garnett, Shaq, Chris Webber, Dwight Howard, Marcus Camby, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Dikembe Mutombo, Theo Ratliff, Alonzo Mourning, Yao Ming, DeAndre Jordan, Jermaine O'Neal, and the Gasol brothers, just to name a few. These 15 selections were more than just earned. Tim Duncan is also the only player in NBA history to have triple-digit offensive and defensive win shares. Yeah, triple-digit as 100 or more. That's insane. I talked about this concept with Michael Jordan in his video, but imagine if Tim Duncan could solely focus on defense. Many of the defensive superstars in NBA history got somewhat of a pass on offense. Rodman never averaged more than 6 points a game with the Bulls. Ben Wallace never averaged double-digit points ever. Bill Russell never averaged 20 points a game, despite being in the fastest-paced era of all time. Just a few examples. Just imagine how much more effort Duncan could put into defense if he didn't need to worry about offense. Tim Duncan is also the leader in playoff blocks by a landslide. He has a total of 568 playoff blocks in his career. The next highest is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with 476. Almost 100 less than Tim Duncan. From 1998 to 2008, so pretty much Tim Duncan's peak, The San Antonio Spurs had a top 3 defense every single season, and half of those were ranked number 1. And 16 of his 19 seasons, the Spurs finished top 5 in defensive rating. Tim Duncan's defense was just that elite. I think another aspect to bring up about Tim Duncan's defense is his rebounding abilities, which were crucial on that end of the floor. Duncan never had a season where he didn't average 7 rebounds a game. He averaged double-digit rebounds for 13 straight seasons. Timmy D is also 3rd all-time in playoff rebounds, only behind Wilt and Bill, and is 2nd all-time in playoff defensive rebounds, only behind LeBron. Speaking of stats, Duncan led the league at defensive win shares 5 times, even once during his rookie season, and he placed in the top 3 league-wide for 11 straight years from 1998 to 2008. At the end of the day, during 19 years with the Spurs, Duncan led them to 5 championships, mainly led through defense and playing team basketball, which just solidifies how great of a defender this guy was.